Hello, what is up guys? Eman from Peso Smart PH here. Welcome sa panibagong episode. Shout out to all the podcast listeners as well. I appreciate you all. Today we'll answer the question, is the stock market for you? Right, so yung una nating talking point is, are you too emotional? So if you let your emotions dictate your decisions, then you probably shouldn't own stocks. Being too emotional in this game will only lead you to do dumb things and you'll end up losing money. Okay, kasi isang example niyan is kapag ka bumili ka today ng isang stock worth 10 pesos per share. Bumili ka ng 1,000 shares. And then, kinabukasan, may narinig ka news. Oh, yung binili mo palang stock is hindi masyado kumita last year, kaka-release lang ng kanilang annual report. So dahil dun sa bad news na yun, nagkaroon ng hindi ganong kagandang sentiment yung market. Bumaba ngayon ng 10% yung stock prices nitong binili mong stock. So from 10 pesos, bumaba siya to 9 pesos per share. And ikaw dahil natakot ka na, oy baka lalo pang bumaba itong stock na to, magbebenta na ako ngayon to cut my losses. So that is one example of you or one person being too emotional about their investments. Kasi kung naging neutral ka lang and kung sound naman yung business na binili mo and it is well researched, then you don't have to sell it for a very long time. And now, let's hear it from Warren Buffett himself discussing this particular topic.
Some people should not own stocks at all because they just get too upset with price fluctuations. If you're going to do dumb things because your stock goes down, you shouldn't own a stock at all. No, I mean,
what are dumb things? Selling a stock because it goes down?
Selling a stock because it goes down. I mean, if you buy your house at $20,000 and somebody comes along next day and says, I'll pay you 15, you don't sell it because the quote's 15. You look at the house or whatever it may be. But some people are not actually emotionally or psychologically fit to own stocks, but I think more of them would be if you get educated on what you're really buying, which is part of a business. And the longer you hold stocks, the less risky they become, whereas the longer the maturity of a bond, the more risky it becomes.
Keyword guys, the longer you hold a stock, the less riskier it becomes. Diba? Sobrang solid ng mga sinabi ni Warren Buffett. So now, yung next nating talking point is, can you handle fear? If you sell a stock just because there's a bad headline about it today and the stock prices went down, then you shouldn't own stocks. As I've said before, no, kapag ka sobrang affected ka sa opinion ng ibang tao about one particular stock and naapektuhan yung activity mo, yung investing activities mo dahil sa mga yon, sa mga opinion na yon, then you shouldn't probably own or pick your own stocks. I think you'll probably do better kapag ka nag-invest ka sa mutual fund, ETF, or VUL na merong investment scheme. You shouldn't react to every movement of the market. Sabi nga ni Warren Buffett and ni Benjamin Graham, the market is your servant. Let it serve you. Karamihan kasi sa atin, lalo na kapag bago tayo, we always try to time the market. So, diba, yung unang principle naman na matututunan mo sa stock market is buy low and then sell high. Yes, magandang principle na sundin yun, no? Or i-follow yun. Pero, kapag tinry mong i-predict yung gagawin ni stock market on the daily basis, then that's the time that you will probably lose. Kasi yung stock market talaga, it is a long game. Mas malaki yung chance mong manalo and mas malaki yung chance mong kumita ng pera dito kapag ka nagstay ka sa market, if you stay invested in the long term. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. Pero kapag sobrang affected ka and ang tendency mo is laging mag-react, no, kapag ka merong movement yung market na pataas, papaba, pataas, pababa. Ganyan lang naman talaga yung market kasi volatile nga siya. In nature talaga, yung stock market is very volatile. Everyday gumagalaw yung stock prices. To further explore this topic, let's hear it again from Warren Buffett, and then after him, I'll show you a clip from Peter Lynch as well.
I'm not recommending that people buy stocks today or tomorrow or next week or next month. I think it all depends on your circumstances, but you shouldn't buy stocks unless you expect, in my view, you expect to hold them for a very extended period and you are prepared financially and psychologically to hold them the same way you would hold a farm and never look at a quote and never pay it. You don't need to pay attention to them. I mean, the main thing to do, and you're not going to pick the bottom, and nobody else can pick it for you or anything of the sort. You've got to be prepared to, when you buy a stock, to have it go down 50% or more and be comfortable with it as long as you're comfortable with the holding. And I pointed out, I think a year, maybe 2 years ago in the annual report, just the one before this most recent one, I pointed out that there have been 3 times in Berkshire's history when the price of Berkshire stock went down 50%. 3 different times. Now, if you owed it on borrowed money, you could have been cleaned out. There wasn't anything wrong with Berkshire when those 3 times occurred. But if you're going to look at the price of the stock and think that you have to act because it's doing this or that, or somebody else tells you, well, how can you stay with that when something else is going up or anything? You've got to be in the right psychological position. And frankly, some people are not really careful. Some people are more subject to fear than others. It's like the virus. It strikes some people with much greater ferocity than others. And fear is something I really never felt financially, but I don't think Charlie's felt it either. But some people can handle it psychologically. If you can't handle it psychologically, then you really shouldn't own stocks because you're going to buy and sell them at the wrong time. And you should not count on somebody else telling you this. You should do something you understand yourself. If you don't understand it yourself, you're going to be affected by the next person you talk to. And so you should be in a position to hold. And I don't know whether today is a great day to buy stocks. I know it will work out over 20 or 30 years. I don't know whether it'll work out over 2 years at all. I have no idea whether you'll be ahead or behind on a stock you buy on Monday morning.
In the stock market, the most important organ is the stomach. It's not the brain. There's always, on the way to work, the amount of bad news you can hear is almost infinite now. So the question is, can you take that? I mean, do you really have faith that 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, common stocks are a place to be? If you believe in that, you should have some money in equity funds. I mean, it's a question, what's your tolerance for pain? I mean, the stock market's a very good place to be, but I can toss a coin now. Is it going to be lower 2 years from now? Higher? I don't know. More people lost money waiting for corrections and anticipating corrections than the actual corrections. Well, you ought to look in the mirror every day and say, what am I going to do if the market goes down 10%? What do you do if it goes down 20? Am I going to sell? Am I going to get out? If that's your answer, you should be reducing it today. Well, hey, this perfect record. I think the 13 years I ran Magellan, the market went down 9 times, 10% or more. I had a perfect record. I went down more than the market. Every time I went down more. So I just didn't worry about it. The point is, would you say to yourself, do I need this money in a year? Do I need this money in 2 years? Do I need this money in 3 years? So longer term, stock market's been the best place to be last 10 years, last 30 years, last 130 years. But if you need the money in 1 or 2 years, you shouldn't be buying stocks. You should be in a money market fund. Well, I think anybody that's investing in the stock market has to understand, you buy a company. These are not lottery tickets. These behind every stock, there's a company. If the company does well, over time, the stocks do well, and vice versa. You have to look at the company. That's what you're researching. That's what we do at Valley. That's what I do.
Alright, so I really hope na nagustuhan nyo yung clip ni Warren Buffett and ni Peter Lynch. Sobrang dami ko natutunan doon sa mga may ikling clips na yun. So ito naman, ito ay isang simple representation lang kung ano yung ginagawa ng majority sa mga nagte-trade or unang nag-i-invest sa stock market. So ito yung parang common pitfall kapag ka beginner ka pa lang. So syempre, siguro nakita mo lang yung stock market sa isang YouTube video, sa isang Facebook post, or nakita mo na yung friend mo is nagsa-stocks, and then parang nakita mo, uy, ang ganda ng market, tumataas siya, no? So medyo na FOMO ka, and then bumili ka. And then yun pala, medyo nasa tipping point na, no? Nung highs, nung market, nung time na bumili ka. So parang ang tendency mo nun, parang greed buy yun, no? Kasi nga, syempre, na-FOMO ka, uy, tumataas. For example, Tesla. Di ba? Biglang tumaas yung stock prices na niya. So, bumili ka rin, no? Kasi, ayaw mong maiwan kasi baka lalo pang tumaas. Pero syempre, eventually, yung pagtaas na yun, may mga magte-take profit eh. Lalo na yung mga whales, no? Yung mga may malalaking capital na kayang spend. So, kapag kayong mga taong yun, may malalaking holdings na sa isang stock, then kapag nag-unload sila ng shares, ang tendency is babagsak yung presyo. Kasi mas dumadami yung nagbebenta kaysa sa bumibili. So simple law lang ng supply and demand. So habang bumababa, no, kasi kaka-invest mo nga lang. So medyo nag-greed buy ka. So kaka-invest mo lang, sabihin natin sa 20 pesos per share. Diba? Pwede mo rin gawing example dyan is yung dito. Kung na-FOMO ka sa dito, bumili ka at 18, 17, 19 pesos. Diba? After nun, ang dami nagbenta. Even yung kanilang mga leaders, yung kanilang mga executives, nagbenta rin ng kanilang shares, nag-take profit din. So, kung ginawa mo yun, masa-stuck ka ngayon, no? Either i-hold mo yung stock na yun, and hopefully in the long term, tumaas pa lalo yung prices na yun, or mag-fear sell ka. So, yun lang yung dalawang mong option, no? Mas stuck ka dun sa investment na hindi mo naman masyado ni-research, and hindi mo alam kung fundamentally sound, and hindi mo alam kung magbibigay ng consistent na cash flow sa'yo in the future, or magbenta ka ng palugi. So, dun papasok yung fear sell. And then, by the way, ginrab ko lang itong representation na to, or itong photo na to sa internet, but I actually drew this one. So, parang minodel ko lang siya dun sa nakita ko sa internet kasi I don't wanna copy-paste lang. So yeah, ang sabi doon, repeat until broke. Pero syempre, huwag niyong gagawin yan, okay? Bago kayo bumili ng stock, you have to understand that you're buying a piece of a business. Do you want to buy a business na hindi kumikita? Na ilang taon na hindi kumikita and walang like concrete plan to make money in the future? I don't think so. Diba? Kung bibili ka ng isang, for example, real estate, no? Paupahan. Ano ba yung gusto mong bilhin? Like, syempre, di ba, yung medyo maganda, pwede mong maganda yung location, may magandang traffic, and then yung city is like located kung saan maraming tourists, right? Di ba? Pero syempre ngayon, hindi siya sobrang in na business kasi merong COVID, merong pandemic. If I made my point across, I think maintindihan mo yun. Na yung pag-i-investan mo is dapat consistent mo siya mapapagkakitaan. Parang yung sinasabi lang palagi ni Warren Buffett na example, which is yung farm. Kasi yung farm, medyo simple lang, no, kung paano siya kikita. So, pagka meron kang farm, tatanim ka ng crops, then mag-harvest ka, and then yung crops na yun na hinarvest mo is bibenta mo. Diba? Ganun lang siya. And then, pwede kang mag-add like ng poultry, ng baka, ng baboy, di ba? Ng animals. And then after that, yun, pwede mo rin silang ibenta. Kapag ka nag-mature na sila, or like kapag ka pwede na silang like katayan, right? So same thing din kapag ka bibili ka ng mga stocks. So isipin mo palagi na bumibili ka, no? Naging part owner ka kumbaga nung business na yun. Hindi lang palagi prices yung tinitingnan. Actually, sabi nga ni Warren Buffett, hindi sobrang halaga ng prices, to be honest. Ang mahalaga is makita mo if yung valuation ng company currently is overvalued or undervalued or tama lang or fairly priced. And then syempre you have to take an educated guess or like forecast in the future, gaano pa ba kadami or ilang taon pa ba ito magbibigay ng consistent na cash flow pabalik sa business para yung business na yun is magbigay din, no, ng dividends sa kanilang mga stockholders. Or in turn, kung di man sila magbigay ng dividends, umakyat yung stock prices nila kasi nire-reflect nun yung performance ng business. Okay, now, what can you do, no, para maiwasan itong mga bagay na ito? So una, again, dati ko pa to sinasabi, no? And I wished I did this like before when I was starting, and I wish na nalaman ko or like may napanood akong video na nakapagsabi sa akin na you really have to study and educate yourself first. Kasi with enough understanding on how stocks work, you'll end up rich one day. Number 2, as I've said earlier, understand that what you're buying is part of a business. Magiging part owner ka ng business na yun. Would you like to buy a department store that will close down in a year because it has a lot of debt? I don't think so. So kailangan mo talagang in-nitpick, no, yung mga details ng business. Paano ba sila kumikita ng pera? Marami ba silang utang? Marami ba silang liabilities? Yung cash flow ba na pumapasok is nag-exceed dun sa lumalabas? So yun yung mga bagay na kailangan mong maintindihan. Hindi lang basta stock prices, hindi lang basta dividends yung tinitingnan. Number 3, do your homework, do your due diligence. If you're confident that you've bought a wonderful stock, price fluctuations wouldn't really bother you that much. Sabi nga ni Warren Buffett, if you're not planning to own a stock for 10 years, then you shouldn't even be owning it for 10 minutes anyway. And then may isa pa siyang sinabi, dapat kaya mong bumili or dapat yung mga bibilin mong stocks is comfortable ka na i-hold siya for 5 to 10 years kahit na magsara kinabukasan, no, yung stock market. Kasi ganun lang naman talaga siya kapag ka well-researched yung pagbili mo sa isang stock and you trust that yung company na binili mo will last for a very long time in the foreseeable future, then you don't have to worry about their stock prices. Of course, kapag dividend investor ka, of course, you care about the dividend yield every single year. So, dagdag mo pa yan, no, dun sa homework na gagawin mo bago mo bilhin yung isang stock. Right? Pero hindi mo talaga kailangan i-monitor every single day yung portfolio mo. But of course, you have to be updated dun sa mga news, sa mga company news, no? That's why we have tools or websites like BPI Trade or Call Financial or PSE Edge. We can use yung resources na nandun to keep ourselves updated and to be in the know kung ano yung like current yung mga current plans ng company na yun, yung mga announcements nila, ano ba yung mga bago nilang like business plan na i-apply for this year, saan ba nila spend yung capex nila. So yun yung mga bagay na dapat interested ka, hindi yung mga news na nagpapabago ng sentiment ng market. But yeah, bottom line, yung price fluctuations, given na yan, every single day magbabago yung presyo ng stock. So just don't bother looking at it, and yeah, don't bother predicting what the stock market will do every single day, because that is just a waste of time. And now let's hear again from Peter Lynch discussing this particular topic para mas ma-enlighten pa kayo.
I made 10 or 15 times my money in Dunkin' Donuts. Those are the kind of stocks I can understand. If you don't understand it, it doesn't work. This is the single biggest principle. And it bothers me that people are very careful with their money. The public, when they buy a refrigerator, they get a Consumer Reports, they buy a microwave oven, they do that. They ask people what's the best kind of radar range or what kind of car to buy. They do research on apartments. When they go on a trip to Wyoming, they get the Mobile Travel Guide, or California. When they go to Europe, they get the Michelin Travel Guide. People will hear a tip on a bus on some stock, and they'll put half their life savings in it before sunset, and they wonder why they lose money in the stock market. And when they lose money, they blame it on the institutions and program trading. That is garbage. They didn't do any research. They bought a piece of junk. They didn't look at the balance sheet, and that's what you get for it. And that's what we're being driven to, and it's self-fulfilling. The public does terrible investing, and they say they don't have a chance. It's because that's the way they're acting. I'm trying to convince people there is a method. There are reasons for stocks that go up. Coca-Cola, this is very magic. It's a very magic number. Easy to remember. Coca-Cola is earning 30 times per share what they did 32 years ago. The stock has gone up 30-fold. Bethlehem Steel is earning less than they did 30 years ago. The stock is half its price of 30 years ago. Stocks are not lottery tickets. There's a company behind every stock. If a company does well, the stock does well. It's not that complicated. People get too carried away. And first of all, they try and predict the stock market. That is a total waste of time. No one can predict the stock market. They try to predict interest rates. I mean, if anybody would predict interest rates right 3 times in a row, they'd be a billionaire. Considering there's not that many billionaires on the planet, it's very, I had logics, I had a syllogism and studied these when I was at Boston College. There can't be that many people who can predict interest rates because there'd be lots of billionaires.
I hope you like that from Peter Lynch, no? So, di ba sobrang simple lang? Sobrang simple lang ng mga principles. Research, due diligence, patience. Alright. So, ngayon, since alam nyo na kung ano yung parang requirements or like parang skills na kailangan nyo para makapag-start or makapag-invest sa stock market, ano yung mga do's and don'ts, yung mga simple principles is naintindihan nyo na. Ngayon naman, kapag ka na-determine nyo na hindi para sa inyo talaga yung stock market, yung pagpili ng individual stocks on your own, of course, we have some alternative options kasi wala namang like investing style na one size fits all. So number one, if you really like stocks but you don't have the time, quote unquote, kasi pag sinabi mo you don't have the time, that's just an excuse. But anyway, you don't have the time to study individual companies, an ETF might work for you. Examples are VOO from Vanguard and SPY. So, pareho itong ETF na to, they both track the S&P 500. S&P 500 is Standards and Poor na tinetrade sa US stock market. So, if nasa Philippines ka, yung easiest way to buy VOO or SPY is through eToro. So, yung eToro, kailangan mo lang mag-deposit. I mean, kapag nakapag-open ka na ng account, you just need like a passport or any ID na valid, na government issued, and then your TIN. Kapag meron ka ng dalawang yun, sobrang bilis lang ng kanilang processing or pag-open ng account. So, it will just take you a couple of minutes. And click mo lang itong link dito sa taas, para ma-check out mo yung guide ko, step-by-step guide on how you can open an account with eToro. And then yun, after ma-open your account, you just have to deposit at least 10k. Yun yung initial deposit, so that's $200, almost 10k. And then if BPI yung gamit mo, may 12 pesos na fee, so that's really almost non-existent. But yeah, I thought that you should know about that. And what else? Pwede rin gamitin yung PayMaya if you have PayMaya or GCash. And then any other online banking platform, ina-accept nila. I think they also accept credit cards, but I don't really advise you to do that kasi what you want to invest money that you have, not money that you owe, right? Okay, now meron ding ETF dito sa Philippines, which is yung First Metrosec ETF. Yung stock code niya, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is FMETF. However, I checked their historical data and medyo taas baba lang siya, and it hasn't really hit its peak. Like, I think it started early 2010s, I'm just gonna put it here on the screen kapag in-edit ko na. So around, I think 2012, 2013. But yeah, hindi pa siya sobrang like nag-increase compared dun sa performance ng S&P 500. So if you're going for an ETF, personally for me, I wouldn't really buy the local ETF here in the Philippines. I would just go for the S&P 500 ETF. So yeah, VOO or SPY. And then by the way, yung S&P 500 pala is tinatrack lang nito yung 500 biggest companies na listed sa stock exchange ng United States. So basically, you're just betting on the US, right? And through the years, like, na-outperform nitong si S&P 500 according na rin kay Warren Buffett, no, in-outperform nito lahat ng mutual fund, lahat ng hedge fund. And then like most of the investors na nagtatry mag-pick ng kanilang sariling stocks or yung mga traders na nagte-trade every single day. And yeah, yung mga nag-invest sa ETF na to is like, naglagay na ng pera and then yeah, they went on with their lives kung ano yung mga ginawa nila. And then mas malaki pa yung kinita nila after 5-10 years. Basta tatandaan nyo lang, long term talaga. Long term is the key. Number 2 alternative is kung yung cash flow yung ultimate goal mo, then bonds or preferred stocks would be an option for you. But personally, I haven't tried bonds yet, but I believe si Union Bank is meron ng app, like mobile app, that allows you to buy or purchase or subscribe to bonds. So bonds, by the way, are fixed income assets, and preferred shares rarely fluctuates in prices over time. So examples yan is yung sa San Miguel, which I have before, SMC2C. I sold it kasi na-realize ko na yes, fixed amount yung makukuha kong like dividends on a yearly basis dito sa stock na to. However, yung stock prices niya is like stagnant lang, no? Like in-issue siya 2012, 75 pesos per share. And then, naglalaro lang siya from 75 to 78 to 79. So, hindi na siya nag-exceed doon kasi nga preferred stock siya. So, mostly, market naman talaga ng preferred share is like companies na gusto ng cash flow, ng consistent cash flow, institutions na gusto ng consistent cash flow. But, yeah, it won't really go up in prices kasi nga naka-fix yung kanilang cash flow, yung kanilang dividends every single year. But it's still a good source of passive income if you're just starting out and hindi mo kaya stomach na yung volatility ng pag-invest sa mga common stocks. Okay? I hope that's clear. And then lastly, you can go for a mutual fund or a VUL. So yung VUL is Variable Universal Life Insurance. Okay, yung mutual funds keeps your money invested and diversified. So, marami siyang like in-invest like lahat. Common stocks, preferred stocks, bonds, money market funds. I think I'm not sure sa Forex, but yeah. Like yung mutual fund is talagang sobrang diversified ng fund. Pero yung isang downside talaga dito is yung high fees, no? So, medyo kinakain ng fees nung mutual fund kasi syempre may fund manager yan, no? Yung mga fund managers na yun is so-called professionals. Mataas yung fees nila na sinisingil nila. So in turn, kumbaga kung kumita ka ng on a yearly basis 10%, like almost half nun is mapupunta sa kanila. So yeah, that's how it works. But maybe you can research a mutual fund na medyo mababa yung expense ratio, so yung bayad sa mga fund managers, para like hindi ka naman sobrang lugi and makuha mo pa rin like almost whole yung kinita dun sa yung investment. And then VUL is also a good option kasi it becomes a regular savings plan, no? Kapag ka hindi mo nga talaga trip yung volatility ng market, hindi mo kaya stomach. So yeah, so parang nag-iipon ka rin, it's better than just saving it sa bank kasi medyo, we all know that banks doesn't really give you a good interest rate, so it's almost always below 1%. But of course, there are other options. Merong mga bagong banks dito sa Philippines na digital only, so wala na silang physical branches, and then medyo mataas na yung interest rates nila. However, tataksan pa rin yun after. I'm not sure kung ano yung tax rate, but yeah, I think it's a bit high. And isa pang upside ng VUL is you also get your life insured. So yeah, parang 2-in-1 na siya, no? Savings plan, and then meron din namang like products yung VUL na merong yung substantial amount nung iyong premiums will go to like bonds or equities. So parang nag-i-invest ka pa rin sa stock pero hindi ikaw yung mismong pumipili, no? Ng mga i-invest na stocks. So like yung mga professional fund managers din yung pipili ng stocks para sa'yo. And of course, they keep it diversified para hindi naman mawala yung pera mo. And yun nga, you get your life insured then. So, parang win-win situation siya. Alright guys, so I'm not sure kung gaano kahaba itong video na to kasi maraming like putol. But yeah, I'll figure it out later kapag ka-inedit ko na. But we are heading towards the end. Silipin natin yung mga sources for today's episode. We have a photo from Unsplash, CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Financial Inspiration, Value Investors Portal. Lahat ng mga links nito is matatagpuan sa description sa baba. And before we end, shoutout muna kay Jamie na nagpapa-shoutout. Nakausap ko siya the other day. Yeah, sabi niya, sige pre, galing mga videos mo. Sabi ko naman sa kanya, isa siya sa mga likers ko na hindi masyado nag-comment. But yeah, thank you Jamie sa support. So ito, highlighted comment of the day is galing kay August84. So sabi niya, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge in investing. So yeah, you're welcome and I will continue doing it. Kasi like lahat naman itong mga sinishare ko is like based sa experience ko. So sasabihin ko sa inyo if something works for me and if something doesn't. Pero syempre iba't iba tayo like ng principles or like pananaw sa buhay and sa investing and sa saving. So it would really vary So itong mga sinasabi ko, always take it with a grain of salt. Hindi absolute itong mga sinasabi ko and lahat ng practices ko sa investing, it won't apply to every single person. So yeah, just keep an open mind and try to like see it in my perspective. And of course, do try it out. And if it doesn't work for you, then try another strategy. Do what works best for you. Kasi unique tayo, Iba't iba tayo. So yeah, do what works well for you. Alright guys, end na natin yung episode here. Sana may natutunan kayo. And if umabot ka at the end of this video, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Smash mo naman yung like button para makatulong sa algorithm ni YouTube. Kasi pagka ginawa mo yun, masasuggest itong video na to sa iba pang like-minded people na gustong matuto mag-invest. And if bago ka naman sa channel ko, hit mo na yung subscribe button and ring the notification bell para wala kang ma-miss out sa mga new episodes every Monday and Friday. Minsan meron pang Wednesday, so bonus na lang yan. And if you haven't checked it out, meron ng channel membership si Peso Smart PH. So click mo lang yung second link dyan sa description to know more about it. Thanks again for watching and listening everyone. Stay safe. I'll see you all on the next episode. Always remember, be Peso Smart.